Okay, I hear you loud and clear. You want more action figure content? Well, that's what I'm here to deliver, thankfully, because I've got a couple new pickups, some exciting stuff I recently got. So let's check it out. Let's go through the list. In my last video, I talked about this figure. This is the Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man Marvel Legends, and I think I kind of complained about it. I don't remember. I don't really watch my videos after I'm done making them, but if there was anything I was going to say about this, it's mostly that I have just like small gripes and complaints. It's nothing too crazy. But obviously, it's not like anything controversial has happened lately in the world of Spider-Man action figure collecting, right? I'm not hearing any of that in the action figure community. No, if you think I was about to go spend $50 on a Spider-Man action figure, I mean, that's ridiculous. I think that's just something that you should never assume I'm gonna do. Instead, I spent $60 to get the Renew Your Vows 2-pack. So now I do have a Spider-Man action figure that's a little better. And Spinneret, you know, the #1 most in-demand action figure of all time. Spinneret, that's a fine figure. I feel like they don't give any articulation to this body, which is like really disappointing, because it would be cool to have a posable Spinneret figure, since, you know, that's such a popular fan character, somebody everybody loves. But I mean, jokes aside, like, it would be cool to have a pretty posable figure, but it's like, it barely moves. Like, it doesn't, there's no ab crunch, and like, I guess the legs go out, but it feels so like thin and breakable, and it's worrying. But it doesn't matter, because that's not the important one here. The important one is Spider-Man. We're actually going to talk about this more in a minute, because there's another figure that I got recently that is the victim of this, but this is absolutely a figure that suffers from being a great figure you need to buy a 2-pack for, so it's just way more expensive than it needs to be to get this figure, which is frustrating. I wish that you could just get the figures by themselves that were really good, but I also understand that, like, that is the conceit of it. That is the business decision that leads to them doing this and to putting them in the 2-pack. So I don't know. It's sort of like it's a lose-lose. It's a win-win. There's pros and cons to getting one or the other, but I decided to get this so that I would have both. I would have the Amazing Fantasy 15 and then the Renew Your Vows as well. One detail I noticed right away is that the Amazing Fantasy is a little bit shorter, which, hot take here, in terms of comic accuracy and things like that, I think that's cool. I think it's neat that this guy, this Renew Your Vows, is a little taller. He's a little bit more seasoned. He's been Spider-Man for longer. Maybe he's had a little growth spurt in college, and now he's a little taller. I think it's great. I love the vibrancy of the blue on the Renew Your Vows figure. I love all the details. I love the spider emblem. I think it's really great. The posability's fine. I've not really messed around with it too much, but nice set of hands with it. For me, it's like the dream is a McFarlane action figure to get that McFarlane era Spider-Man stuff, but then I saw the Maximum Series Spider-Man, and it's just so disappointing and so ugly, and you can fight me in the comments. I don't care. That's fine. Fight me. I will fight you. It's ugly. The quality control is bad. I have no interest in owning that figure. I think the only way, this is true, I think the only way I would own that figure is if someone gave it to me. Like, if somebody sent me one to review, then it's like, okay, well, I guess I own this now because someone sent it to me. I have no interest in going to buy it, especially while this figure exists, because this is like far superior as a Spider-Man, pun intended, if you're Doc Ock. So yeah, if you are a Spider-Man fan, Spider-Man collector, and you can get one of these things, I think it's far superior to the Maximum one. I just don't think you should waste your time and energy on that, which brings us to sort of another point about the Maximum series and about Marvel Legends in general right now. It's kind of a terrible time to be a Marvel Legends collector, at least that's my opinion on it. If you're trying not to break the bank, you know, if you're not gonna spend a lot to import stuff, especially now, given at the time of recording this video, the tariff situation, then like, it's super understandable that you're not buying a bunch of imported figures. And Marvel Legends are getting more expensive, and they're getting bad. They're getting worse, I think. Not necessarily in terms of like the quality of the plastic or the posability, or like, there's just a lot of things. I think specifically the price for a Marvel Legends figure, like a basic Marvel Legends figure, is getting worse. I buy when it's a character that I really like, that I really want, that I'm actually interested in having in a display. So a good example of that is another figure I picked up recently, and I'll talk about like my thought process for buying this and why I still think it was too expensive. The Strange Tales run Moon Knight figure. This was huge for me. This is great. I love Fist of Khonshu. It's a great miniseries. That's where I've got him posed in this cover, issue 1 cover pose here. And I love this series. I think this is a really cool figure. It still was too much. It still was hard to find. The run still has a bunch of other characters that nobody cares about. Like, Moon Knight is now closer to the level of prominence of like any other Marvel Legends figure. This is no longer an obscure character. When they made Sleepwalker a couple years ago for Multiverse of Madness, I was like, oh, this is cool. They do a run that's like a bunch of fan favorite characters. That's awesome. And then they throw one in there that's like a comic deep cut. You know, it's the same with Darkhawk. I love my Darkhawk figure, and it's like, it's cool that that exists because, you know, it's a little bit out there, and then the rest of them at the time are more normal. They treat stuff like this Moon Knight figure as if it's like some rare collector's item. They don't make a lot of them. It's hard to find them. They're not in regular retail stores. A lot of stores aren't even carrying Legends anymore. You can't find them at a lot of places. So even though I bought this, I waited like a long time and I hunted around at stores and at comic shops until I found one. As a side note, please don't make fun of me in the comments for how badly these things are posed. Number one, I'm just fidgeting with them as I'm making the video. And number two, I will cry. I'm very insecure about it because I don't know how to pose and I'm having trouble learning. So please have pity on me. But anyway, like to get these two figures, I want to give a shout out to a couple of comic shops in Seattle because I was able to track them down at these spots. For the Moon Knight from Strange Tales, shout out to Phantom Zone Comics in Alderwood Mall in Seattle. Great shop, love that place, very cool, and they had this wave, so I was able to pick up the Moon Knight. And then shout out to Phoenix Comics and Games in Seattle, a little bit closer, like downtown Seattle. They had this 2-pack of Renew Your Vows in there since I moved to the city, which was like a year and a half ago, and I would see it like every couple months, and I thought someday, like when I'm ready and I have the cash, I'll just like go get it. I'll go save it from that display case. And sure enough, I did. Anyway, I'm kind of being vague about complaining. I just feel like Marvel Legends in general, like I am not seeing any of the value come out of it that people are seemingly having to pay for. Like the costs are going up and the value is not going up. Maybe that's a broad consensus. It is 100% my opinion as well. Let's get back to Legends in a second. I have another line that I want to talk about, and I do want to complain, but I think there's something positive in the complaining as well. So like 2 years ago in New York City, I got this. This is the Best Action Raphael figure, and I liked it at the time because I took it out of the box. I very delicately posed it and set it on a shelf, and I never touched it again. And I've had it for, 2 years. Raphael's my Ninja Turtle. He's my favorite. So I've always got a Raphael action figure somewhere on display. I have quite a few now, and we'll talk about another set of turtles in a minute, but I never really thought about looking for it because this was like $30 when I got it. And then just a couple weeks ago, I was at Ross, and somebody, a friend of mine had recommended, they said, hey, if you like action figures, you should try looking at Ross. Sometimes they have good ones there. And I was a little bit dubious. I kind of went in thinking that like, maybe they'll have something. If they're going to have anything, it's going to be like a McFarlane toy from like waves back, and it's not going to be a cool character. But I was shocked to find that I found all three of the other turtles for $8, $6 a piece, I think. And what I will say is this, the complaining I want to do is that I got these, and when I got them home and took them out of the package, I realized like, yeah, these are like $8 action figures. I've had the Raphael for 2 years. I forgot that I paid like $30 for it. To be fair, I bought it at Forbidden Planet in New York City. So like, I kind of was asking to spend more for it, but like, that's kind of what it was going for when it came out. And when this was like their latest Turtles wave. These are $6 to $8 action figures in terms of quality. The accessories are so flimsy and thin. I'm terrified to put these katanas in Leo's hand because it's like if you move it and it just feels like the whole thing's gonna break. Every joint on these things, I am just shocked every time I pose it and the arm doesn't snap completely off. The hands are swappable. I don't really swap them because I think the next time I do it, it's gonna break. So in some sense, when I'm looking for a set of Ninja Turtles action figures, which, is happening more frequently than you might think, I'm looking for like posability, I'm looking for display factor, but also after a while, it's like, does it actually function as a toy at all? Here's an example of what I'm talking about. One of my favorite pieces in my collection is the Lady Death statue from the Marvel Selects Thanos. It's cool. I dig this style. I think it's neat. It's like a display piece. It also would function as a toy though. Like it's all one piece. So like, sure, it's all there, but like you could set this up as a kid and like play with it and enjoy it and not have to like pose it and set up. It's cool. It's a toy. It like functions as a toy. And I think that's the case with a lot of Selects figures. Like this is the Captain Marvel one. This is the only other one I had close by, but like, it has a few joints, the head swivels, like it's obviously it's a Select figure, so it's not gonna have anything crazy, but like the hips move, the legs bend, the feet move, like, okay, it's an action figure, it's a toy. Most importantly, I don't feel like it's gonna break every time I'm using it. Like if the foot snapped off of this right now, I would be really surprised. These turtles are genuinely hard to pose, they're not durable, they just, I don't know, like there's something about them. If the look of them, if like the color scheme and the paint wasn't so perfect for exactly what I want the display to look like, I don't see any reason why I would own these. And that brings me to another set of turtles that I recently bought, which are like far superior to this. These are the 4 Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like generic Walmart action figures. And when you talk about posability, design looking great, colors, paint, all that stuff looking great, and like functionality as a toy, these blow the best action figures out of the water. And these are like $10 maximum a piece. I paid less for each of them, which is kind of a funny story. The Raphael, always the first one I buy of each set to sort of test if I want the rest of them. As you can see, I've got 2 of the retro movie figures up there on the wall behind me, and I haven't opened those up. I don't have all 4, and once I get the other 2, once I get Donatello and Leonardo, I might just keep them in the packaging, which I like never do with action figures, but it looks kind of cool. I don't know if I pull it off, but I haven't even finished that set, and I have this set here of the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which great movie. These figures function so much better as action figures than the best action ones, and yet they're not even supposed to be like more, collectors, like display pieces, but they're just objectively so much better. Not only do they feel better, they just are better. Like the joints are more solid. The posability isn't crazy, but the head is on like a nice swivel. All the joints move and move in a lot of different directions. You have a lot of options. Probably the only downside to them is the feet. The feet are very much not posable, but that's fine. You can figure out a way to get it to, as long as you can figure out a way to get it to stand, then like you're good. Also, the best perk of them, they come with the little plastic like tiny turtle with each of them. I only have the Donatello one. I used to have the Raphael one and I lost it, and then the other 2 I bought used, so I did not get the tiny turtle that came with them. I got the Raphael like a year ago, and then a couple weeks ago I found Leo and Mikey in a vintage store here in Seattle, in the Seattle Fremont Vintage Mall. I found them on a shelf there, just loose, no accessories or anything, and so I bought those. And then by the time I had all 3, I thought, okay, well, I'll go find Donatello, and I found them on eBay for like $4 and ordered them. So now I've got all 4, but these are just objectively a better set of turtles in my opinion. If you're looking for something that's like fun and a good display piece, I think they keep the spirit of the original cartoons and stuff. And if you like the movie, obviously it's great, but like it keeps the spirit very well, and they're actually good. They don't feel like they're gonna break every time you look at them. Okay, let's get back to Marvel Legends. The 2-pack problem that we talked about earlier, I think it prevails in a lot of different areas. And one of those for me that I waited a long time before I decided if it was worth the problem was the Squadron Supreme 2-pack, but I finally did pick it up. This is the Hyperion, the Squadron Supreme 2-pack. I don't have the other one, Captain whatever, who cares, because that is the spinneret of the 2-pack. That is the problem action figure. Everybody wants the Hyperion one, and then to get it, you have to obviously buy the 2-pack, which makes it twice as much. Now, I scored, Amazon had a sale on it, I'd had it in my cart for a little while, I saw it drop down, and I paid like $25 for the 2-pack. So, in my mind, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to pay. And then I gave the other figure, which is like one of the most generic blank Marvel Legends I've ever owned, to a friend of mine who does customs. And so I'm going to see if she can paint the whole thing and make it look like another character. I don't want to give it away. I think it would be fun to be able to do a reveal and talk about that character on here, because it's a character I don't have an action figure of. But this is Hyperion. So this sort of happened on the cusp of a lot of modeling changes with Marvel Legends, but I like the articulation on this a lot. I would really dig if this could be turned into a Sentry figure because of how big the belt is on Hyperion, but this is a good example of a figure that's like comic accurate in a way that really appeals to my sensibilities. I am always looking in a figure for something that is like the exact look they had in like 70s and 80s comics, and in this case this is exactly it. This is the Squadron Supreme Hyperion that I really like. Once you start getting into like Squadron Sinister stuff and it starts to look more black and yellow and like different aesthetic vibes, that's not the Hyperion I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with the one that's made exclusively to parody Superman for Marvel. I think it's really cool, and I like this Hyperion figure a lot. I think it's like a really successful take on that sort of Mark Gruenwald era of Squadron Supreme. The posability is really good. I like that it's got a couple alternate hands. I'm excited to have this as part of a larger display. I'm moving pretty soon, which I might have mentioned in a previous video, I don't remember. So I haven't really gotten a lot of my displays set up the way that I would like them to be with some of these new figures, because it's like I'm gonna be in a new apartment soon, so like I might as well just wait until then, in a couple weeks, and then I'll be able to set it all up a lot better. And my vision for this is to be able to display it with the Squadron Supreme graphic novel, which is a piece of Marvel history that I've had forever. I love that thing. It's got a really cool cover. That's the pose that I've got him in now, is from that cover. And so being able to display each of these figures with like one comic or book right behind them is sort of the eventual goal. And I think Hyperion is a really successful example of that. That this is a figure that like stands well on its own, and I'm not gonna worry about the other half of the 2-pack. But again, if the 2-pack didn't exist and I could buy this Hyperion for like $25, I got it on sale, so great for me. But if I couldn't have, I probably would not have gotten this figure. I wasn't gonna spend 40, 50 bucks on a 2-pack, when the other one was just like just a nothing figure. Like, it's not, I know I should care about the character, but like Hyperion is who I wanted, and you shouldn't be held hostage by the other half of the 2-pack. This happens a lot. We know there's been like 1,000 Wolverine Marvel Legends. I don't own a Wolverine figure. One of the reasons for that is that some of the cool ones, the only ones that I would be interested in, are in 2-packs, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not spending $50 getting another character I don't care about just to get a Wolverine that I already don't really care about. Okay, so to wrap this video up, I have an unboxing. I have a figure that I got today in the mail, and I wanted to show it to you guys, wanted you to be the first to see it. But first, let's just sort of do a rundown of what it is that led to this figure getting here and how exciting it is for me. I know I'm going to give it away as soon as I show you this, but this is the original action figure I had of this character. This is the old Adam Warlock. This, I think it used to light up. I don't know. I bought this used. This isn't like from when I was a kid or whatever, but it has a button on the back. You can hear it. There's like a battery thing right there, and there's a little light on his forehead for the Infinity Stone. And I assume that when it was originally released, you would have been able to press in the back and it would light up, and then you've got this cape that goes over, and the peg sort of goes through the back so you could press the button. And yeah, it's cute. It's cool. It goes, I think, from the same run as that little Shocker figure that I showed in my last video, that would shoot like little projectiles out of his hands, or maybe the spider armor. You know, it's all from that era of Marvel toys where they weren't very articulated. They didn't have a lot. And clearly here he did have a staff. There's a hole in his hand for a staff, but I don't have the staff. I think I got this for like 25 cents out of a bin one time. But to me, I always would think when I would see this figure, I would display it on my shelf and be like, man, like that is the ultimate Adam Warlock to me. It's like post early work with the character. You know, it's like after Starling gets a hold of him, once Infinity Gauntlet happens, once he's like more settled into his power and personality, that is Adam Warlock. But not like far enough down the line that it gets like less unique and less specific from that era. So 70s, 80s, Ron Lim, late Jim Starlin era Adam Warlock. That is my version of the character. That's the one I like. Then over the years, things started to change for Adam Warlock fans. One of the biggest sort of moments in collecting for me was the only time I've ever bought a brand new Funko Pop. And that's because I could not believe that there was an Adam Warlock Funko Pop, even though this version of the character, love him or hate him in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, is completely different than the way he is in my versions of the comic that I like. He evokes a lot of things about him and that early FF story and all that stuff. Even the early Thor appearances, like that, it's pretty accurate to how Adam Warlock was when he first showed up. But the version of the character that I like, who is a little bit older and more matured and like more set in his power, didn't exist in the movies, but it existed at all. Like Adam Warlock named character was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was crazy. And so I bought the Funko Pop because I thought that's sort of a compromise. I'm not going to buy the Marvel Legend, but I can spend, you know, 10, 11 bucks on a Funko Pop. Somewhere around here, I got the Lego figure as well. Like, I don't know if it was, I got it at a Comic-Con, so I don't know if it was like a custom printed one that somebody had made or if I bought one from a set. I don't remember, but when the movie came out, I got the Lego action figure and the Funko Pop, and still, I sort of bided my time, and you know, I would look around and see if they had ever done a really good comic accurate Adam Warlock, but I didn't ever see one that really spoke to me, that really seemed to be that version of the character that was just what I wanted as a display piece. But then, a couple months ago, they announced it. Of course, I pre-ordered it. Here it is. This is the new Marvel Legends Adam Warlock. This is from the comic accessory like thing. I'm not sure exactly what they're calling the line, but it's got a comic book in the packaging. It's sweet. It's very, very cool. And I've just gotten it today. I haven't taken it out of the package, so I figured I would take it out of the package with you guys, and you can see the accessories, how it all looks. Yeah, let's crack it open. Some little packaging details that I do want to highlight is that up here, it's got a corner box that says #1. Anything that evokes comics to me is always going to land like crazy. So having a corner box is really cool. It has the Infinity Gauntlet logo on the top. That is super cool. Like I wished after I ordered this that I would have pre-ordered 2 of them. I might buy another one. I don't know. Just because this is the only time a Marvel Legends figure has arrived that I've ever been like, wow, I want to keep that in the packaging. None of the rest of them bring that feeling out in me. I've never had a Marvel Legends figure that I've been like, oh, I got to keep this in the packaging. Like, it doesn't matter. But this one, it is really cool. So anyway, let's slice it open and see. Don't try this at home. So in some sort of possibly misguided attempt to save this packaging, I did just slice it off like mostly complete. So actually I might have sort of saved the back board of it, which is kind of fun, kind of an interesting piece of my collecting to have. Okay, so I did actually manage to get the whole thing off of the board without really damaging it, which is cool. I've never done that before. Kind of neat. I like some of this stuff. It's just cool to have action figures again that have like info on the card. There's like a dossier and like the other characters in the line and stuff. This is like big. This is a big card, and I think that's cool. There's a Wolverine figure in this line that I actually do think is cool, so might be looking to pick that up. All right, here we go. Let's take him out of the package here. This is the comic book accessory. I wanted to see what these were like since they've come out, and it really is just like a small piece of plastic, but it's really cool to have this. I mean, if anything, I hope they do more characters like this. I certainly would buy like little mini versions of comic books with the characters if that was what they were selling. And it's just flexible enough to kind of feel like a small book, which is fun. This is the staff for the figure. It's pretty cool. Little bird head. It's all one piece. It's all one color. Pretty simple, pretty iconic, very accurate to the character. So I'm down with that. Then after much cracking and bending of the plastic, here he is. This is the Adam Warlock Marvel Legends figure. Now, there's something that comes with this figure that, to me, makes the whole thing worth it. I think you can probably guess what it is. We'll put his staff in his hand there and stand him up, and then we will see that accessory. So I did not know how they were going to pull this off, but this is a small Marvel Legends sized Infinity Gauntlet. The possibilities with this are amazing. First of all, this is it on the Adam Warlock figure. This is meant to evoke the cover of Warlock in the Infinity Watch #1. This is basically the whole reason I bought the figure, because that slab that I have of that issue is one of my all-time favorites. I have another copy that's signed by Angel Medina. Like it's one of my favorite covers, one of the best Adam Warlock covers in my opinion. And so to be able to have a figure that can nail that pose is so sick, and that has the gauntlet on, so cool. I guess a small part of me wishes that there was a head for this figure that wasn't so aggressive. I think like a stern, calm Adam Warlock is also part of his personality that comes out a lot in the issues in the era of time that this figure represents. But like, I'm not gonna complain. This is like a standard Marvel Legend. You know, it's rare that you're gonna get two heads in that. Mostly I am not complaining because we can do this. This is just the normal hand for any Marvel Legend. I did not know how they were gonna handle this. I couldn't really tell from the packaging details if it was like a hand or some sort of glove wrist thing or whatever. You could just put this gauntlet on any Marvel Legends that has this size swappable hands. This is sick. This reminds me of when I was a kid and Bionicle finally released the Mask of Life figure and the piece of the Mask of Life, so then you could put it on all the characters because you could try it out on all your different builds and stuff. That is how this feels, to have a Legend-sized fist. Like, I mean, not to give a little spoiler alert for the custom figure that I've got on the way to me, but a Silver Surfer with this gauntlet fist is gonna be amazing. All right, guys, so that's the rundown of all the figures I've gotten lately, the new stuff. As you can tell, I've been taking some breaks from the channel, especially while I pack and get ready to move. There's a lot of stuff in here I gotta pack up, so it probably won't be new stuff till I'm settled in a little while, but as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.